Ruby just proposed that she and Aqua get married, but could this all be a part of Aqua's plan? What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Oshinoko video. Chapter 123 of Oshinoko was probably the most controversial chapter in manga I've seen in a while. But before I break it down for you guys, I want to thank you all for the support recently, as the Oshinoko videos are skyrocketing in views. I absolutely love the Oshinoko manga, and it's one of my favorite animes right now, so it truly makes me happy that I can continue to talk about it. But enough of that, let's dive into the most controversial chapter of Oshinoko. Starting off with the breakdown, Ruby is relieved and somewhat angry that Goro has been with her nearly all this time and blames Aqua for never telling her. Aqua very calmly says he wasn't sure until now, and then Ruby briefly explains why she used the name Bikomachi in the hopes that Goro would recognize it and find her. Then Ruby tells us that she had been looking for Goro at all her events and tried to perform her best at the concert just in case he was watching. She says that she lost hope that Goro would find her, as she thought he had forgotten about Ai and Bikomachi. Ruby goes on for a little bit longer, then Aqua apologizes for making her have to carry this burden. Then Aqua tells Ruby why he leaked their fake identities as Ai's children to the world, as it had to do with Aqua's revenge plan to avenge Ai. Back to Ruby now, as she tells us how the lies she was telling were catching up to her, making her feel guilty and that she doesn't want to lie anymore. Aqua tells her that lying doesn't suit Ruby, as I totally agree. I didn't really like when she was set on revenge. I thought that was more suited towards Aqua. Ruby says she only lies to try to be like Ai, but Aqua tells her that she doesn't need to be like Ai and instead should live her own life without lying. Then Ruby asks for Aqua's acceptance as an idol, to which he responds with, "Of course, I'm your biggest fan." Then probably the most surprising part of the chapter, besides the marriage proposal, was when Aqua says that Serena was more radiant than Ai. This part of the chapter is super important, but we'll get into it later on. This next part was also very important, as we get a clear shot of Ruby without two star eyes, as she's just back to one now. Crow Girl also makes an appearance and tells Aqua he's making a big mistake trying to build Ruby back up again and should rather just let Ruby hate him. She also tells Aqua that he's not cut out for revenge, as he's making a big and huge obvious mistake. Then Ruby goes back to freshen up and tells Aqua that she'll one day be an idol that will shine brighter than Ai. We get a flashback of Goro and Serena talking about getting married someday, then Ruby pops the question nobody as a reader wanted to hear. So obviously you can tell that there's a lot that happened in this chapter, but the first thing I want to talk about is Aqua. Many people think that Ruby is the one lying in this chapter, but in my opinion I think it's Aqua. If we go back to chapter 122, we can see Aqua trying to get Ruby to stop her revenge. After a couple of failed attempts, Aqua pulls out his trump card and tells Ruby his true identity. So fast forward to this chapter, and once Ruby leaves the room, Crow Girl makes her appearance. Keep in mind that whenever the Crow Girl appears, it's only because either Ruby or Aqua are on the topic of revenge. She tells Aqua that bringing Ruby back to her original state is a huge mistake. She tells Aqua it'd be easier if Ruby were to just stay on her path of revenge, and that Aqua isn't cut out for revenge for trying to save her. And it does make sense, because two is always better than one. I'm sure Ruby would be a huge help, but Aqua is dead set on doing this revenge thing on his own. It also does make sense that Aqua is simply just trying to get Ruby off this path of revenge, as her second star eye has disappeared. If we go back to chapter 79, we can see that Ruby's second star eye appeared when she swore revenge on the person who killed Goro and Ai, and Ruby's had that second eye up until now. So it's very possible that Ruby has given up on her revenge and has gone back to regular one-eyed Ruby, meaning Aqua's plan was a success. But I think the dead giveaway is when Aqua tells Ruby that in her past life, while Ruby was in the hospital, she was more radiant than Ai. I find this very hard to believe, as Goro really hasn't had that big of a connection to Serena since he's been reincarnated, and his obsession with Ai can basically be classified as an addiction at this point. So I think that Aqua is just piling on the lies to seal the deal and get Ruby off her path of revenge, which is also why I think that Aqua might end up accepting Ruby's marriage proposal. Aqua is committed to two things: avenging Ai and keeping everyone close to him off his path of revenge. Even going back to season 1, when Aqua tried to stop Ruby from becoming an idol to keep her away from the entertainment industry, it wasn't necessarily to keep Ruby from having the same fate as Ai, but it was so Ruby wouldn't find out about Ai's secret. So if Aqua's willing to do anything to accomplish his two goals, then I can see him marrying Ruby to keep her off the path of revenge. I also noticed that during the entirety of their conversation, Aqua's eyes are in dark mode, signifying that Aqua is in revenge mode. Now, keep in mind, this is just a theory, but with all the evidence pointing in the direction that Aqua is only doing this to get Ruby off the path of revenge, it really makes this theory almost seem true. Do I think Aqua and Ruby will get married? Absolutely not. Aqua is just too famous and too experienced experience to do something like this. In all honesty, it could just be a marketing tactic to try and get more people to talk about Oshinoko, and if it is, it's definitely working. But before I end this video, I do want to address something about Ruby. Many fans believe that Ruby's joking about the proposal, but in her current mental state and how much she thinks about Goro on the daily, I find this really hard to believe. Ruby obviously didn't care about the major age gap when she went to marry Goro in her past life, so why would she care about the fact that she and Aqua are siblings? As for chapter 124, the manga's on a week hiatus and will return July 19th. But as always, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Just this week, we have hit 20k subs and the growth has been exponential recently, so I thank you for all the support. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching and I hope to see you in the next one.